The Great Retaliation of 2025, resonating back to 1929, 1933, has officially begun. Guys, yesterday I recorded a podcast, an hour long, breaking down the wars and the sanctions and the tariffs. And a center part of that podcast was a detailed explanation of three presidencies of Ronald Reagan, Hoover, and McKinley. The center part of it was explanation of the tariffs dating back to 1929, 1933, during the Hoover administration, known as Smoot-Hawley tariffs. Basically started out as an idea to protect the agricultural sector in the United States, but before the bill gets to the Congress, there's a ton of other items that are being added to the tariff list, and by the time it all gets done and approved and the president signs it, this Smoot-Hawley tariff becomes a tariff on like 20,000 items worldwide. And as a result of that, countries begin to retaliate, which devastates the U.S. economy. So we already seen the retaliation. That's going to be, well, depending on which time you review this information in this podcast, but something just happened that I think is going to set a domino effect. And that something is retaliation by the country of Colombia that refused to take the two airplanes that are being deported from the United States. The airplanes had to be returned immediately. Within hours, Trump places a 25% tariff, sanctions all the government officials, and basically all the Colombians are now going to be the center of attention and detention. Basically, quite a racist move, if you will, but I don't think the move that ends here. I think other countries will begin retaliating as well, and before you know, I think this sets a whole stage just like before the 1929 crash and collapse. The world is going to retaliate to this dictatorship, in a sense of economic dictatorship, threat of military taking over Greenland and Panama Canal, and threats that are not even voiced yet, that I described that potential war could break out on the border of United States and Mexico. Guys, the world we're living in, it is fucking crazy already, but the shit that just happened with placing tariffs. See, a few days ago, we weren't even talking about placing tariffs on Colombia. That wasn't even a part of the conversation, but I think more countries are going to retaliate in some, not necessarily in the same fashion as Colombia just did, but basically it's the reluctance to accept the dictatorship tactics of the current United States government. Basically, the strategy is quite simple. It's been used by the United States for centuries, starting all the wars, overthrowing the governments, telling other governments if they don't agree with the United States, what the fuck they got to do, how they got to do it. And I think the world is sick of it. I think the world is tired of this shit. And I think 2025 will go down in history as the year of the world's retaliation. The Great Retaliation 2025 in what is exactly what's unfolding right in front of your eyes. So this could be one of the first few dominoes to spark this insane retaliation to the strategy of Trump trying to tariff the fuck out of the world. I think it's going to backfire. I recorded a podcast a couple of days ago about 1929 setup in the stock market being identical to the setup right now in early 2025. I think at the speed at which the story unfolds and at the speed at which this situation is escalating, the point I made in that podcast that we may not have to wait till October 2025. The whole market could just begin collapsing now at any given fucking moment. This could be something like you've never seen ever before in your lifetime as a trader. You've got to get in. If you want to capture some of the biggest fucking trades, I'm telling you guys, you got to get in touch with a 13 Market Moves coach right now. You got to be putting your positions at 6 p.m. tonight. The market is opening up. You can trade options on futures with the coach, capture some insane fucking trades, but your entry needs to be soon, okay, because the market is on the verge of a fucking collapse. And it is not yet evident to the majority. And just so you know, the way the crashes start, they're going to start dropping a little bit. The market begins dropping a little bit. Then it continues dropping a little bit for the next day and for the third day. And that's when everybody, basically thinking, okay, well, the worst is over. They begin buying the dip. And that's when Thursday, Friday get like a colossal fucking fallout, which also coincides with the Federal Reserve meeting and decision on Wednesday, reaction Wednesday afternoon, Thursday. But you want to take in your position on this whole situation, unveiling at the speed of light right now. So go to 13mmtv.com, 13marketmoves.com. And if you want to understand how this whole situation plays out, study the Smoot-Hawley tariff act in 1929 and the effect it's had on the American economy. Also review the last two podcasts because I went into great detail explaining how wars and tariffs and sanctions, the exact impact they have on inflation. And guys, now that we're adding countries on the list, that we're not nowhere on the list of nations to be tariffed, I think that list is going to grow at the speed of light. And the strategy is clear. It's simple. It's to use control to weaken other economies so United States can come out on top. But as a result, if you study history, I think we're at a point where the rest of the world is actually going to get united in its efforts to retaliate against the United States. And that's why United States economy is going to collapse the fuck out. 13mmtv.com. Don't miss the greatest short of your lifetime. Short the fucking markets with 13 Market Moves. 13mmtv.com. Click the button, schedule a call, get in touch with us now. Don't miss this precious moment.